EICMA 2024, siamo qui con il due volte campione del mondo di Motosprint e la leggenda che si sono. Ciao Casey.
Ciao.
First of all, the most important question, how are you?
Very well, thank you. It's nice to be back in Europe. Every year we get to come here to visit, and there's many things we miss about spending so much time over here, and so to have the chance to come back in Italy, it's always a pleasure.
And here we are in the EICMA stand, Nolan stand, and you have a close and a long relationship with Nolan. What can you tell me about it?
This is something that was created many years ago when I first had contact with Nolan in 2001, and they decided to support me in my first year of Grand Prix racing. And they did this just from the recommendation of somebody who was helping me, Alberto Puig, and I've really appreciated everything Nolan was able to do for me. In the beginning with the Nolan helmets, we didn't have the perfect solution, but in just a few years we were able to really grow the brand, grow the quality and the fitment, everything. And in a very short space of time, we were battling with the top brands of the championship. So from that, we just got stronger and stronger, and our relationship stayed, like this for many years. We had only maybe one or two dramas many years ago. We were able to overcome it much faster than the other brands, and in my opinion, this shows what Nolan are willing to do. It's very much sort of almost like a family company, and so anything we needed, anything we tried to adapt and change, they were able to make things happen very quickly. And this is what was we were able to grow the helmet in such a fast way.
And have you recently visited the company?
No, it's been a few years since I've been directly in the company, in the factory, because I haven't been able to ride in so many years now because of my fatigue issues. We stopped test riding, and so we haven't been to the company since that moment. But in just a few days, we will go back to visit again, and it should be nice.
Okay. And which was your support to Nolan to develop the racing helmet?
What do you mean?
When you started with Nolan, you were very young, no? And you spent all your career with Nolan. So, I mean, you helped also the brand.
Now, this was because they showed me such a big amount of faith in me in very early years. I wanted to return the favor that they did for me, and so we worked a lot together. The engineers at Nolan have always been fantastic. Like I said, they will produce things very quickly to rectify some issues. And in the very early years, 2001, 2, and 3 was not basic, the helmet, but there was some issues with the fitment. But they were able to make changes so quickly. And each year that they brought something new out was such a big improvement. Many helmets in the industry, I feel, that have been the same for so many years. And with Nolan, we just continually improved it, and went from something that nobody really considered on the grid, and then we arrived to the point where the Nolan brand was on the top of the podium many times in the later years of MotoGP. So it really shows how much effort everybody was putting in back in the factory to make such a small company grow so big and produce such a high quality helmet.
And if you could say in one word what Nolan did you?
I think loyalty, because
I thought this word before the question.
they showed me, like I said, so much faith in the beginning. They stuck with me, I stuck with them, and even when I had a contract for several years, I went to the MotoGP class. They changed the contract immediately and paid me to the value of what I was in MotoGP. And this is not like any other company. Normally, if you have a contract for 2 years in 250, in the second year you still get the same contract even if you move up the category. But because I went up to be in MotoGP, they said a MotoGP rider is deserving of a different contract. So they tore up the contract, made a new one, and they've always shown me a lot of faith, a lot of respect, and for me, it's not just even about the product; it's just about how they treat their riders, their drivers, and they will do everything they can to help.
And if you say in one word what MotoGP give you?
I don't really have one word for this.
Well, a few words.
It depends on the situation. Sometimes a lot of pain, sometimes a lot of fantastic emotions. Was a roller coaster.
Yeah,
Because
one word.
exactly, it's a very different championship. It's very difficult to stay consistently at the top in every area. Whether it's the bike, the leathers, the helmet, everything has to stay in such a high level because of the speeds. Everything we do, everything was changing year by year. You had to keep adapting to all these different things. The temperatures coming off the bike. There's so many elements to MotoGP that makes it very difficult for not only the bike manufacturers but everybody around to keep fitting in this area. And so, yeah, to see the advancements coming through now is not my favorite with the bikes, but the speeds that they will arrive now and the safety measures that need to be put in place, it's makes things very difficult for a lot of companies.
Mm-hmm. And you will return to compete with the charity race. How do you feel about it?
I don't really know yet. It's been many years since I've been riding a bike, so I tried to do some small days on enduro bikes and getting a little bit better in the body and the feeling. But it's been more than 25 years. 25 years, I think, since I was riding dirt track, flat track. So it's should be interesting. I get to ride a two-stroke, which is a big passion of mine.
Yeah.
So but anyway, it's for a great cause, and this is the main reason we're doing it.
Okay. If you had to describe yourself to someone who didn't know you, how would you describe yourself? Like a man or also like a writer?
I don't think I describe myself as a writer. I'm not somebody who likes to boast about what I did. I'm a very quiet person, honest. I don't really know how to explain myself, but we had a fantastic career, fantastic life. But for me, the important thing now is my family and trying to make sure that we're all healthy. It's been a difficult moment for me the last 6 years, so this is the most important for me. So I'm a private person that that likes to be honest when I can.
Okay. Also, we can see that on social media.
It's true.
Talking about the current MotoGP season, what's your analysis of Bagnaia and Martin?
Yeah, it's the last 3 years. These guys have been battling for the championship. I think it's clear that they are above everybody else in the pace, in the way that they race and adapt to everything. I think Jorge Martin has been probably a little bit stronger in many ways the last 2 seasons. Both of them have made mistakes at certain points. Martin made more mistakes last year. Bagnaia made more mistakes this year. So I think they are very close in the way they do things. But it's been a very interesting championship to watch, and we will see in the last race what happens. But Martin has clearly improved his mental approach, because last year and the year before made some mistakes in places where he shouldn't. This year seems to be a little bit more clever in these places, and so he's done a really nice job.
And who will have more pressure in the Barcelona?
Personally, both. I think Ducati will probably put a lot of pressure on Pecco to get the job because they don't want to have Aprilia with the number one plate. We will see how things go, and depends on what they do. But I think Jorge has done enough to have a relaxed weekend and still come away with the championship. But you never know what happens. So
The racing game.
Pecco needs to win. Um, Jorge just needs to finish in an okay position. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
And how many chances has Bagnaia to win the title?
I said this is where anything can happen. You don't know if another rider will take down Martin. You don't know if something conveniently happens to his bike. You don't know what will happen in the last race. So we will wait and see what pans out.
But this year, did you enjoy watching MotoGP this season?
I enjoy watching the riders' talent.
Okay.
And I feel that at the moment, the current situation with MotoGP is they're not able to show their talent.
Okay.
There's so much control with the electronics, the wings, the ride height device. It really takes away a lot of what the riders' capabilities are. And I want to see a lot more of this. Still, you find the same guys coming to the top, so they're clearly doing a better job than everybody else. But to ride these bikes, I think it's in a particular way, and it's suiting a particular rider. So I would like to see the bikes put back in the riders' hands, and not the engineers. At the moment, we're always talking about the engineering and the engineers. We're not talking enough about the riders. And so I would like to see the riders showcase their talent a lot more than they can.
And in Malaysia, in the last race, we saw Andrea Iannone again in MotoGP. What do you think about his performance?
I didn't look so much on this performance. I was in a place where I couldn't watch the race, so I just watched some highlights. I mean, he got an opportunity to come back, but unfortunately for Andrea, I think he made many mistakes in his life. He had many opportunities to continue racing, but was always, I think, thinking outside of the racing, not focused enough. So maybe now things are different. He can focus a little bit more again on what he needs to, and he has the second chance to make a career in racing. So we will see. He's been getting slowly better in superbikes, but MotoGP is a different animal. So we will see what happens.
But if you were given a similar offer, would you accept it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you would be crazy not to accept this offer, the opportunity to have a go again. Probably has come too soon. Probably it's his first year comeback racing, and he probably needs a little bit more time to go again. But anyway, you'll have some opportunity, and the more time on the bike, the more comfortable you will become.
And talking about the next season, what do you expect from Martin's Ducati?
I don't know. It depends on how different the bike is between 24 and 23. Normally, in my opinion, you don't see such a big difference, but it seems to be that Mark needs to improve in his qualifying performance because so often he's coming from the back and arrived second position many times this year. I think he has the speed. He still needs to find some patience at time, but if he found some comfort with the new bike, then we know he can be very competitive. So it was his first year with Ducati, and he made some mistakes, but I think the biggest mistakes coming from qualifying and this sort of thing, because if he's able to start further in the front, then he is much more competitive. So we will only know after next year.
And what about Honda? How many time Honda needs to
I think at the moment the way the rules are going is suiting very much the European manufacturers. They spend a lot more time in the wind tunnels and fine-tuning all these things, and I really don't enjoy the winglets. I don't enjoy all this stuff that needs to disappear, because MotoGP is not Formula One. But right now in MotoGP, we have the same problems that Formula One spent many years to fix. We have overheating front tire, we have overheating front brakes, we have stability problems from the air coming from the bikes in front. So the riders are not able to ride close together. We have, very high costs for all this wind tunnel testing and all the aerodynamics. It's creating a lot of problems, in my opinion, that I don't know why MotoGP cannot see this. And clearly it's suiting certain manufacturers more than other, because they are the ones which has invented this and tried to continue in this way. And as far as I knew, 6-7 years ago, the rules were changing to eliminate the winglets, and then the rules stopped being enforced, and now we have all this stuff on the bikes. And I really don't like, because the riders arrive close to each other, they touch, they crash more often. The only way to make a difference now in MotoGP is to brake very late. This is the only place where the riders have the control, is the braking. Okay. Everything else is, you have this ride height device which drop the bike very easy to exit the corner. You don't need to worry about the wheeling. You have the winglets which reduce the wheeling. Then you have the electronics. Then it's much more difficult for the riders to make a difference compared with the others, because everybody is limited by the bikes. So it's again, all the problems that Formula One had for so many years, which they spent a lot of time to rectify. MotoGP said, okay, we take this and we put on our bikes, and they have the same problems. So if we produce these things, I think the racing will become much better. The overtaking will be much easier. And I think, especially in maybe not the sprint race, but the regular race, we will see a lot more interesting results. Because at the moment seems to be, if you have one package, it's working. The Japanese bikes are really struggling, especially Honda at the moment, because everything is going in the direction of the other manufacturers. It's benefiting them. And I think it seems to be very tough for the Japanese to spend enough time and money in the wind tunnels to catch up in this way.
But if you have the power to decide the regulations of MotoGP, what do you do?
Either reduce the winglets or completely gone. No aero in the rear, nothing in the tailpiece, no ride height device, no start device. We limit the amount of traction control that you can have. So we put the traction control only to the point where it's safer, not to the point where it's a benefit. The wheelie control, the same. We put the wheelie control that it starts to cut at a point where it stops the bike going too far, but in reality it doesn't help. It's not an advantage. So we want to put the bike back into the hand of the riders, so that bikes like Yamaha, which were always very soft and smooth with the engine, made the bike more easy to ride. This was the benefit of the Yamaha. Now, the benefit of the Yamaha is gone, because you just twist the throttle and all the rest does the job. So the Yamaha was very smooth, sweet on the throttle, so it helped a lot with traction. It was easy to control the wheelie at times. This was the benefit. Now we miss to have a difference in the bikes. The only difference is some aerodynamics, which is creating problems. So if we have a soft, sweet bike like the Yamaha, this is their advantage. Then you have Ducati, which is more aggressive and faster. This is their advantage. But then they struggle in other areas. So I think we miss to have a difference in the bikes. Some bikes suit some tracks and some riders, and other bikes. Now it seems like we got rid of all the possible issues just so that everybody is the same. And I don't really enjoy watching this.
Yeah.
I like to see different results from different manufacturers, all these things. and even to have tire competition again, because this will also allow a satellite team on a different tire to be running in the front. Right now, a satellite team, it's very difficult for them to arrive in the front because you have the factory teams which are spending a lot of money on all these things, and they don't want anybody from behind to do anything different. And so, yeah, it's making things more complicated, in my opinion, than less. And we need to take away the complications and make it more simplified in many ways. And then the engineers have to decide whether they sacrifice the power for the handling or whether they go power more than the handling. It's always a interesting effect.
Okay, the last question. Which is your dream today? Which is your dream today? Your next goal?
To get back my health.
Okay.
I've struggled a lot the last 6 years with chronic fatigue, and still my goal is to get back my energy, so I can start to have some start to create some dreams that I can accomplish. Because at the moment I have to be very patient.
Okay, so thank you very much.
No problem.